Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Robert Sports Show. I'm your host, Robert. It is football season once again. This is that NCAA college football topic video, realignment and new playoffs. If you're new to Robert Sports Show, welcome. I do picks for college football, NFL, I do pro wrestling, I do NASCAR. I've done a couple of these different videos where we kind of did a realignment with the NCAA college football, that billion-dollar business that it is, these multi-million-dollar TV contracts that they sign with these Big Ten networks, etc. I know for next year, I believe it's next year in the Big Ten, we have a couple schools joining the Big Ten, USC and UCLA. So the Big Ten will be represented from sea to shining sea next year, because right now we have Rutgers, there was another school, Maryland, over on the East Coast, and then we'll have the two West Coast schools leaving the Pac-12 and joining the Big Ten. I just think there's a better way to do this. I just think there's a different way of having multiple schools have to travel across the country to play their conference games. So the way it lays out right now, we have 133 FBS schools. There's 64 Power 5 teams, 11 conferences. As we know, when it comes to the playoff committee, they look at the Power 5 teams. Only 2 Power 5 teams have ever made the Final Four playoffs, Cincinnati and then the independent Notre Dame. There are 43 bowl games with 3 playoff games. Each conference receives $6 million for each playoff team. So when the committee sits in the room and creates the 4 playoff teams, and they pick 2 Southeast Conference teams, SEC teams, that means the SEC gets $12 million. I'm not saying that the teams have been picked haven't deserved it, but there are teams that have deserved it as well that weren't part of the SEC. So you gotta wonder that $12 million that's going from the NCAA to the SEC, is there any hinkling going on with it? Each conference receives $4 million for non-playoff bowl games. So these Power 5 conferences, again, they're called the Power 5. Big 10, Big 12, SEC, Pac-12. What am I forgetting? ACC. They're the Power 5 for a reason. So typically your national championship comes out of the Power 5, which takes your 133 teams down to 64. Now we have these big TV deals that Big Ten Network has, ACC Network has, Longhorn Network has, Pac-12 Network, SEC Network, Spectrum Sports, AT&T Sportsnet, Fox Sports, and ESPN. College football is a billion-dollar sport. We all know this. Now my thought would be how you kind of fix it, not really fix it, but settle on the old gridiron. Because you have people sitting in a room going, well, I think Cincinnati is better than this team, but I think this team is better than this team. They've got it right for the most part, but there's times where you got to kind of scratch your head and go, really? I mean, okay, sure, why not? Let's look at 2021 standings here real quick and kind of get my point here. Cincinnati was 13-1. Yes, they deserve to be in the playoffs. Is there enough? Let's see here. So we had a Alabama 13-2 team with Georgia 14-1. So Alabama was there at 13-2. Notre Dame had 2 losses. They're 11-2. They were ranked 8th. Louisiana was 13-1. They were ranked 16th. They're not a Power 5. That's why. Yeah. University of Texas San Antonio was 12-2. Oklahoma State 12-2. They're in a Power 5 conference. They're 12-2. They were ranked 7th. Is that 12-2 the same as the 13-2 Alabama, who made it to the national championship game? That's intriguing. So yeah, I think there's some favoritism going on. Michigan was ranked third. I think there is some at times favoritism going on. Or well, this team is a Power Five team, so of course they're better than a non-Power Five team. I think we should settle on the field. So we got 133 teams, 8 conferences, 16 divisions. Your regular season is 12 weeks or 12 games. In week 0, which technically week 1 is 2 weeks, so we'd call week 0 week 1. Each FBS team plays an FCS team, so it's like a preseason game. That's also going to help the FCS teams because it can give them more money. So your 12-game season is 10 conference games, 1 neutral site non-conference game. So you can play whoever you want to, but it's a neutral site game. And then you have 1 game versus the FCS. So you have 5 home and 5 road games. So we have 16 divisions, 8 conferences. So you have your conference final, which is your week 1 of your playoffs. You get your 8 conference champions. Division winner plays division winner. That's round 1 of the playoffs. And then you have each of your conferences. You figure out which conference is going to play who. You just do a rotation basis. And then you have who's going to win, goes against, and bracket it out. So the 8 conferences would be, and typically, and what I'm doing, I'm taking a combination of what we have now and just kind of tweaking it to what fits what I'm talking about. So the 8 conferences would be the American Conference, the ACC. Instead of Big 10, Big 12, we get the Big 16. We got MAC, the Mid-America Conference, SEC, Conference USA, Sun Belt, and Pac-18. So basically, the Pac-12 got renamed Pac-18. The Big 10 and the Big 12 got combined into the Big 16. So your conference championship games, those are bowl games. Gator Bowl, Citrus Bowl, Liberty Bowl, Holiday Bowl, Independence Bowl, Quest Bowl, Alamo Bowl, and Cheez-Its Bowl. Now we have 8 teams in the playoff because we get the winners of the conferences. Those 8 teams play in the Rose Bowl, Orange, Sugar, Cotton, Peach, Fiesta, and Sun Bowl. And then we have our winner, and then we do the next round. So basically, you're taking all your bowl games and you're redoing 15 of them for playoff games. And then you're going to take the other bowl games in whatever teams, like second, third, and fourth in your league are above 500 will be in the other games. Now, you may not have 43 bowl games. So what you can do is talk to these sponsors. The Chick-fil-A Bowl, for instance. Say we don't have the Chick-fil-A Bowl. We rename the ACC the Chick-fil-A AC American Conference, or whatever, insert name sponsor here, and they sponsor the conference. Instead of giving the money for the 2 teams, they give it to the conference, and it goes between all the teams. Now, of the 16 divisions, 8 conferences, it was done by geographic location. So by starting in the Northeast, you have the American Conference. Their North division would be Boston College, UMass, UConn, Syracuse, Buffalo, Army, Rutgers, Penn State, and Temple. Their South division would be Pittsburgh, Maryland, Navy, West Virginia, James Madison, Virginia, Liberty, Virginia Tech, and Old Dominion. The ACC, one division would be Louisville, Marshall, Kentucky, Western Kentucky, Memphis, Middle Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Tennessee. Their other division would be Appalachian State, Wake Forest, Charlotte, North Carolina, Duke, NC State, and East Carolina. The Big 16 would be Central Michigan, Michigan State, Michigan, Eastern Michigan, Western Michigan, Purdue, Ball State, Indiana. The South Division would be Kent State, Akron, Toledo, Bowling Green, Ohio State, Ohio, Miami of Ohio, and Cincinnati. The Mid-America would be, the West Division would be Wyoming, Colorado, Colorado State, Air Force, Nebraska, Kansas, Kansas State, Missouri. The East would be Minnesota, Wisconsin, Northwestern, Notre Dame, Northern Illinois, Illinois, Iowa, and Iowa State. So you're going to create geographic rivalries. You're going to have The students that go to these schools, their families and friends and stuff, would be easier to travel to see them. You don't have a kid going, well, I want to go to the NFL. I'm a high school senior. I want to go to the NFL. And I live in a podunk town in Iowa. If I want to get to the NFL, more than likely, I need to be in the SEC. More than likely. Okay? Or I need to be in a Power 5 conference school. I could go to Iowa State. Maybe I live in Ames. Yeah, I mean, I could. Am I going to get really seen Big 10? I might. The Big 12, I might get seen a little bit. Am I going to get that, recognition how good I am? I need to go to Alabama, Clemson. I got Nick Saban knocking at my door. I need to go play for him because I'm guaranteed almost playoffs. This way, you're in Iowa State. You just got to be better than these schools to win your division. Then you're in your championship game, conference championship game. You're going to get more eyes on you. I think it's going to even the playing field a little bit between schools. I don't think we're going to have constantly the same schools over and over. The Southeast Conference would be Coastal Carolina, South Carolina, Clemson, Georgia, Georgia Tech, Georgia State, and Georgia Southern. The South Division for the Southeast Conference would be Miami, Florida International, Florida Atlantic, Central Florida, Florida State, South Florida, South Alabama. As you can see, there are certain states that have a lot of schools, and you put those all in the same division, so travel's not going to be as much. So instead of a Big Ten school now, Michigan, for instance, having to travel from Michigan to Rutgers on the East Coast, and then next year when UCLA comes in all the way to the West Coast, or even 2 trips to the West Coast if they got to play USC, now you're basically staying in your geographical location. So now the schools are spending less on travel expenses, which when they pay the players, and so that's going to help them have revenue for that. The Sun Belt Conference will be Rice, Houston, Texas, mind you. Rice, Houston, Texas A&M, Sam Houston State, University of Texas San Antonio, Texas State, Texas, Baylor. The other division, SMU, TCU, North Texas, Texas Tech, UTEP. Now we're out of Texas finally. New Mexico State, New Mexico, Arizona, and Arizona State. And then our last 2 conferences, which is Conference USA, which is Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Louisiana Tech, Louisiana Monroe, LSU, Louisiana, Tulane, Tulsa, Arkansas State, Jacksonville State, University of Alabama at Birmingham, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Southern Miss, Troy, Auburn, and Alabama. And then last but not least, Pac-18, currently in Pac-12. We have Washington State, Oregon State, Boise State, Utah State, BYU, Nevada. In the South, California, Stanford, San Jose State, Fresno State, UCLA, USC, San Diego State, UNLV, and Hawaii. 133 schools. Organized by 8 conferences, 16 divisions, all done by geographic location. Now, is this an end-all be-all? No, it's not. This is just a plan that I put together, which I've done a couple of these videos before. I like kind of the kickoff to the college football season to be a video like this. Next week we'll have week 0, and then we'll have week 1 the following week. So each week, check back here at Robert Sports Show for picks, straight-up picks against the spread over-under, for NCAA college football, and for the NFL a couple weeks down the road. I will talk about fantasy on the NFL as well, my fantasy team and stuff. Please, comments below. Please like the video. If you're not following me on Twitter, at Rob Sports Show, or like the page here. Comments, please. I want to know what your thoughts are. Make sure if you are a pro wrestling fan, NASCAR fan, check out Robert Sports Show. As always, thanks for watching Robert Sports Show. Until just have a great day. Have a spiffy day. Robert Sports Show, your YouTube leader in sports channel content.